New cycle. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Build a new civilization out of the chaos of an apocalyptic solar flare as you grow your house from a lone shelter to an industrial metropolis. Take on the burden of preserving life itself, Jim, and help your people realize their aim, a future beyond survival. Lead the world of New Cycle. Yes, guys, we have a city builder, another city builder. Last year was the year of the city. This is it's city building again, guys. Luckily, I love city builders, so I'm not fussed. This comes out into early access on the 18th of this month, so just under a week's time. And I was given a little bit of an early access to this, so that I can have a bit of a, and I've had a bit of a, guys. I've done, I don't know how many. I'll just have a quick. What we've done 8.3 hours, guys, which is more than I really wanted to, but it's a city builder. You've always got to up one time and then start again and think, oh shit, I'm not going to do that this next time, and then you up again and you have to start again, and it's like, shit, alright, well, next time I'll yeah, it's been that. But this current game that I'm on, I think it's 5.5 hours in this current game, and I'm not quite at the end. There's a lot more of tech to unlock, but I will give you my lowdown on what it is all about. So, as you're probably aware by the words, there's been a solar flare. It's just wrecked humanity's tech, and you're starting from scratch. I quite like the theme in this, the way the buildings look. It looks really, really cool. It has a bit of a tutorial as well to get you started if you're not familiar with these games. But what I will say is, if you've played Anno, then you'll be right at home with this game. It is very similar to Anno in the way that it actually works. You need to put roads to buildings to get the efficiency up. You have different classes of workers, like engineers and things like that you have to use to man different buildings, exactly like it is in Anno. So there's a lot of that, which is a good thing because Anno is a great game. So copying off that and then adding your own little twist, which is what New Cycle have done, is a good start. The game doesn't really feel that it's early access. It is so complete, it's crazy. It's one of the most advanced early access games that I've played in a long while, actually, which is another good thing. But bear in mind, there doesn't seem to be an autosave, and it's quite a brutal game. Things can go really pear-shaped fast if RNG decides to strike. I've been relatively lucky in this game that I'm on, but one of the other games I wasn't, so it does pay to save often. Everything's done in cycles, hence the name New Cycle. You start off on the base cycle where you only have a few rough buildings that you can unlock. Then you have to meet certain requirements to unlock a new cycle, which is the next tier of buildings, and that will bring forth a whole new set of materials that you can make and provide for your people. You are the boss. You make all the decisions, and there's loads of decisions that have to be made in this. A bit like Frostpunk, where things will happen and they come to you and they say, what do you want us to do? And they all have quite severe consequences, so be careful. Hence, regularly saving. As you go through the cycles, you'll get more and more advanced as you go. And the big kind of thing that I've been striving for is cable, so that I can start upgrading buildings. Pretty much every building needs cables to upgrade them, and the base buildings aren't very efficient, and neither are the workers. Now, speaking of efficiency, one of the gripes I've got with this game is upgrading people, giving them I think it's a scholarship or something to educate them. It's highly expensive and takes forever, and I've had at least 2 fails on that. So I feel like I'm fighting against bollocks, It's like bullshit. I mean, I don't mind fighting against elements and real things, but I felt that was a cheap kick in the nuts, It was just, I've got all these other things that could go wrong that would be perfectly acceptable, but just getting someone to fucking have a look at some papers and study and pass a fucking exam is the hardest thing in the fucking game. They're all thick bastards. They are. They're all thick as fuck. It's like they're going to school now, You know what schools are like now, since there's no corporal punishment and you're just getting into it all just... Another thing that annoyed me was I built a well, and I positioned it so 3 water sources flowed into it. And when the end of the year comes round, you get a bit of a weather forecast and a prediction on how it's going to be the following year. And if it's not going to be a severe drought or anything, the wells will refill with water. But I could never get enough water out of the well, even though I had thousands and thousands of water available in the well. But if you build 3 wells, one on each of the water sources, you will be able to tap into all of that, which I thought was a bit... I think that's a bug, to be honest, because surely you should be able to get the same amount of water. That's the way I look at it, but you couldn't, so that's just a little thing that annoyed me. As I mentioned before, I was after cables, so there's obviously electricity in this. You put pylons up. When you build a road, the pylons appear automatically. You have to have roads pretty much connecting everything. And it does lead to automation in certain areas with conveyor belts and that in the future. I've seen pictures, so it must be true. But I haven't actually reached that point in the game, unfortunately. I'll do a full-on in-depth review when it actually comes out of early access and goes into one release. I just really want to talk about some of the cool things in this. And one of the other cool things is missions. You can go on surveillance missions. So what happens is you create a scout hut, you create scouting parties, and you send them out looking at... A lot of city builders have this now. You know the dance with these. You send them out on missions. They explore areas of land. And what happens is you find resources and all manner of stuff, and you can put mines out there and have the stuff ferried back to where you are. So it's all it's like an expansion, if you like, of your main actual base. But when the game drops, I'll go into all of that. I'll give it a full-on playthrough. But as it stands now, I don't know what the price of this is, but I'm thumbing it up because it's a really good fun game. It started off pretty boring. I think the first hour was quite boring. There was nothing really new or happening in it. But after that, it started to get more and more interesting as more and more decisions had to be made, and I got expanded into some really cool things to make. So if you like city building, a New Cycle is definitely worth a look. It's one of the better city builders to be released in the last few years.